And you got me that way, and I'm wondering if I came on too strong.
Welcome back to the Blue Collar Business Podcast.
I'm Garrett.
I'm Grant. And we have made a living doing handyman work. And we made some small businesses of our own.
Oh, yeah.
Made some good money. And we're just out here trying to show other people that it's not too hard. It's not a ton of work to start your own business. And it can be pretty nice schedule-wise. It can be, you can make good money.
We started our own handyman businesses from scratch.
Yeah.
And here we are making a decent living. I'm pretty content with it.
Yeah. So we're just here, trying to show other people that it's not too hard to do.
We are nothing special.
Nice. No,
at
nothing
all.
at all. Yeah.
Not by any means. So if we can do this, literally anyone could do this that has any kind of trade skills. That's all you need. No, I mean, not anyone can do this. You got to have some ability to...
It'd be good if you had some kind of skills in this kind of service trade industry.
But if you have any skills in service industry, you're good to go. Start your own business. Don't work for the man anymore.
Yeah, you can be your own boss.
It's the best. All right. Well, we're here for another week.
All right.
This
is episode 18, I think.
Is it really?
Yeah,
that's
we're
crazy.
getting close to 20.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll keep at it. So this week we're going to be talking... This is a Grant-inspired episode. Usually I'm coming up with the content and writing out our notes.
Yeah.
But this week was Grant. So we're in for a treat.
I got a lot of notes.
What are we talking about, Grant?
We are going to be talking about some time-saving products, stuff we haven't really considered buying that might help out our businesses.
Be a little more efficient?
Yes, make things more efficient and just overall speed things up.
You're more efficient, you make more money, and spend less time doing it.
Yeah. And just overall kind of make things more convenient. And some of these things could be pretty helpful. So
everybody wins. The client, you, everybody.
Whoever's making the stuff, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's begin the show with our usual beginning segment. What have we been working on? So, Grant, what have you been up to this week?
I've kind of been out of a job right now.
Unemployed.
Yeah.
I never like to hear that on the show.
I finished up a job last week. It went well.
You didn't work all week.
Money. I haven't worked this week now.
Wow. What do you make of that? Are you happy with that? Are you like, oh, I kind of like that I don't have to work this week?
No, it's nice for the first few days, and now I'm like, I think I need to find something.
I need to get a job.
Yeah. So I was thinking, actually, well, maybe we can get into it later, but of things I can do. I mean, I might just, work on making my business more legit, and maybe I could do some advertising or something.
Yeah.
I have some stuff later, in a couple weeks, but I don't have anything right now. So
nice. Well, it happens. That happened to me last year around Christmas. I was really struggling to get work for the whole month, so that was a bummer, and it happens.
So what are you working on? You got a job?
I had another somewhat busy week. Today, okay, I'll get into this a little later, but today I think was the best day of my career.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And I didn't make a lot of money.
A couple weeks ago, you were excited.
It was a crazy day, and it wasn't money-wise. It was amazing.
All right, let's hear it.
Well, I'll get into that in a little bit. I want to talk. That was what I did today.
Okay.
Today was the best day of my career. But I worked a lot before that, so I'll talk about, since the last show, some of my jobs. And again, I say it every time, but we do this first segment because we want people to feel like they can be in our shoes and see, if you make the leap and start working for yourself, here's what it looks like day to day. It's not that complicated.
Yeah.
So this week, yesterday I finished up, I was installing these wood slats with a felt backing for soundproofing a theater room.
Okay.
That was kind of cool. It ended up looking really awesome when I was done. That took me Wednesday and Thursday. And yeah, there wasn't anything that notable there. It took me a little bit longer than I thought, but that's kind of normal for me. But it wasn't extreme. I ended up making $54 an hour on that job. So again, my goal lately has been 80 to 100, so 50. Well, unless I'm working for people I know, then I'm shooting for like 50 or 40. Mm-hmm. And this was people I kind of know, so I wasn't like disappointed that I didn't make as much, but 54. So that was nice. And then I did, okay, there's a couple crazy ones. This is a crazy week. And so one of them I did, I installed these glass panels for a lady in her cabinets. So she texted me and she's like, okay, I have these 4 cabinets in my kitchen and I really want to put glass instead of the wood that's in there. And so she sent me a picture and essentially she wanted me to like just rip out the middle of the cabinet and exchange it for glass. And I think in her head, it was just like, yeah, you just take out the wood and put in the glass, like super straightforward, like easy and cheap. And then I text her back. I'm like, this is cool. Like I could definitely do this, but I just want you to know this may be a bit more expensive than you're thinking. And I was like, at the end of the day, you're probably looking at somewhere between like $700 and $900 for like all the labor and all the cost of the glass.
Yeah.
Which to me, I'm like, that's astronomical for 4 cabinets. Like, who would ever do that? But I generally thought that's what it would end up costing her.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay. I'm like, all right. I was expecting her to say no.
Yeah.
She was like, yeah, go ahead. It's like, all right, I'll do this. And so I ended up doing it this last week. And yeah, it went like I thought. I thought it would take forever. I had to just rip the cabinets to pieces and put them back together and put the glass in. I had to order custom pieces of glass on Amazon. And yeah, it took a lot. It was kind of a fun challenge because I'd never done anything like that before. And it worked out. It took a while. I had to rip them apart, route a bigger gap in between the cabinets so I could fit the glass in.
Right.
Then I had to clean it all up and then put caulk around it so it looked nicer. And then make sure the caulk looked really nice because it was like on the cabinet. So it took ages. That one I ended up making $65 an hour. Oh wait, no. Oh no, that one I made $90 an hour. So that one was a lot better. And then I made another job that I made $65 an hour, and that one I was just installing fans.
That's gotta be.
It was pretty good.
That's gotta be a good job when you're making like good money. Just
$65 an hour just to build a fan and throw it on the ceiling.
Yeah.
And it was like a new build too, so it's like the wiring's all perfect and it's just like super easy. So that was nice. The problem with that though is I finish the fans, I leave, they pay me, then they text me like a couple hours later. They're like, hey, the fan, there's 3 of the fans. I installed 5 fans. Like 3 of the fans upstairs are making a noise and it's really annoying. What can we do about it? I was like, what is it like does it sound like rubbing? Does it sound like an electrical noise? He's like, it's like an electrical noise. I was like, okay, I mean, I can come by and see what I can do, but no guarantees that I'll be able to fix it. If I can't fix it, you might have to replace them if it's annoying enough to you. He's like, yeah, it really annoys us, so we'll have to come up with something. So I get there, and he turns on the fan, and I hear nothing. He's like, you hear that?
No, wait, he was hearing something, and you weren't?
I was like, yeah, let me get closer. I mean, we're talking like nothing, Grant. Like I heard something, okay. But it's like turning on your car's ignition and being like talking to the mechanic and being like, do you hear that? Like when I turn on the key, it goes. Rrr.
So he was like complaining about a motor noise that's always going to be
I'm
there.
like, this is not avoidable.
Yeah.
Like this is just a noise. Like it's so subtle. I don't even know how he was hearing it.
Yeah.
But it was like unbelievably annoying to him. And so I was like, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I think if you want to get rid of this, if it's really annoying, you might have to just get a new fan and really research one that makes zero noise. So anyway, I just thought that was funny because I was just blown away. Like the whole time he's telling me, I'm just like mouthing to myself like, wow. That was crazy.
You've been around electric motors before, right? They make noise. All of them make some noise.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But yeah, again, that one was all right. $65 an hour for building fans is pretty good in my book. Now today.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it okay if this takes a while? I know I'm excited about.
No, that's all right. I have like way too much stuff on my notes. We're not going to get to all
We
of
could
it.
always do 2 episodes on this topic too.
We could, because I
That's
do
always
have
an option.
like way too much
I think it's good
information
stuff too.
Okay. But yeah, no, take your time.
Oh my goodness, dude. Today. All right. So last week I texted this person, and they sent me a picture of a sliding glass door that they just had installed by a glass company. And they were like, glass company put it in, but they don't know how to do the trim around the doors. Like, the rip off the old trim, put in a new sliding glass door, but they can't do the trim. Can you install the trim to make it look nicer? Because it's just like a big gap in between the new door and like the drywall. So I was like, okay, yeah, send me a couple more pictures. I'll give you an estimate. I forget what I bid them at. Anyway, so that was last week. And I was like, does Friday work? They're like, yeah, Friday at 1 works. So Friday at 1 rolls around today. I drive over there. And it was like a 30-minute drive, which is like, it's about as far as I'll go.
Yeah.
And so I get there, I knock on the door, and this is, I mean, I'm just expecting just a normal, like, we texted about it. I get there, here's the door, and how long do you think it'll take? Like, just a normal interaction. I get there, I knock on the door, and somebody answers the door. He's like, hello, who is this? I'm like, I'm here to fix the back door trim, like put in some trim. He's like, oh, okay, I'll bring you over here. This is the door. And then he opens the door a little more. He like cracked the door. He opens the door the whole way, and I walk in, and Grant, I am surrounded by 4 zombies.
What?
It was so bizarre. People like walking in circles. There's like a guy on the couch just like talking to himself.
What?
It's like another person in the kitchen just kind of looking at the wall.
What's going on?
Dude, I'm like immediately like, what is happening? What, like, am I safe? Like, what is this? And then I didn't know what to do. So I just walked right to the door because I could see the door I was going to work on. He's like, here's the door. How long you think it'd take the door? I was like, I don't know, a couple hours. And I'm just kind of looking at it, like just trying to gather my wits about me, like what is happening. And then I ask him, like, where, like, did you hire me? Like, like who
One
hired
of the zombies
me?
over there?
Yeah. Like, who are you? Did you want me to do this? Who asked me to do this? He's like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, oh no. And then I show him the text and the phone number who was texting me. I'm like, do you know who this number is? He's like, oh, that Angela. I was like, okay. He's like, call her. You call her right now. Okay, I'll call her. Called her. Nobody answered. I texted her. Nobody answered. So I just go to my car because I'm like, what do I do?
Yeah.
Because
you don't know if you're actually going to get paid.
well, yeah, that was like, I mean, I could do all this work. I had already bought like the door trim on my way there at Home Depot. So I'm like, I have everything here to do it, but like, I'm not going to work for free. Like,
yeah, they already spent their money on whatever they're on right now, walking in circles.
Like, what do I do? And should I even do this? And I was thinking about if I should just leave because, again, I don't want to work for free. But then I was like, okay, I got this job because the glass company that installed it referred me out to do the trim. So I'm like, they probably wouldn't have referred a client who doesn't pay.
Yeah,
so
that
like,
makes sense.
I'm sure if I do it, they will pay me. So I'm like, I guess I can do it. And then, but I ended up realizing when I got there that there was a problem with there was a big gap in between the door and the drywall. So I was going to have to, like, it wasn't just going to be slap some trim on there and nail it in. It was like, I'm going to have to add like an 1.5 inch piece onto the door.
Like the
and
trim
then,
didn't cover it.
yeah, it didn't cover it all. So I was like, I'm going to have to go to Home Depot anyway. I'll just go to Home Depot and I can think about this. So I didn't tell the guy that I'd left. I just left and went to Home Depot. And eventually the lady texted me back and was like, I can't call right now, but what do you need? And I was just like, do we have the paint for everything? Because I'm going to have to paint for the wall and and she also wanted me to paint the back of the door, the other side, the exterior side. And anyway, so I was like, okay, at least she's responding. I think this would be okay if I do it. So I get there and I come back to do the work. And this took like 6 hours, by the way. Like I was like, a door trim install, this will take an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. Like I'll just slap it in there. It took 6 hours because they also made it seem like they had the paint, but they didn't. So I had to go to Home Depot twice.
Right.
I had to run back to get the paint. So anyway, hope I'm not taking too long on this story, but
I want to know.
Oh, dude.
If you figured out what's going on.
I'm there. So I just resigned myself. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna work in here. I don't know what it's gonna be like, but I'm just gonna knock this one out. And it ended up being awesome. Like the guys in there, I looked at it afterward, and it was like a mental health place. Like it was just a home. Like it just like your neighborhood. It just looked like a normal house.
But that's what it was used
But
for.
it was like this African guy who was there was just like the custodian or something. Like he cooked their dinner while I was there.
Oh, okay.
The lady who owned it, I don't know what. Anyway, but so yeah, it's like a mental health place.
It seems weird that she wanted to mention that.
Yes, that was what I was thinking. I'm like, you couldn't have told me any of this. Like, not.
That you weren't gonna meet her there.
Yeah,
meet
she told me nothing.
Guy.
I walk in there and it was the most confusing situation in the world. I'm like, you could have at least told me something. Anyway, that was weird. And I'm working in there for hours, and I usually listen to stuff while I'm working, but this was like, and I want us to tread lightly here because I'm not trying to disparage any of these guys. They were super nice actually. Like when I left, I was like super happy to meet you all. Like I hope you guys have a great weekend. Like they were nice people. They just were not well.
Right.
But I ended up not listening to anything because I was just talking to these guys the whole time because it was so entertaining. And I'm sure they don't get a lot of company, so it was like they really loved having me there. Like they just wanted to talk to me the whole time I was working. But man, it was something else. These guys, can I tell you some of the stuff they said?
Yes.
Okay. So one of the guys, this guy, he was one of the guys that greeted me at the door, and he would just walk back and forth in front of the door the whole time I was there.
Okay.
He was just pacing back and forth in front of the front door. Every time, when you're working on something, you go back and forth to your car constantly.
Yeah.
Every single time I'd pass him to go to my car, he would stop me and he'd hold out his hand to shake my hand, and I'd take my hand and shake it, and he would be like, and he would pull up his shirt, show me a tattoo he had on his chest, and he would say, "Mummy."
Every time?
And then he would drop my hand, and I would go to the car. This happened every time I went to the car. By the last 3 times, I'm like, when you're trying to hold in laughter and you're just clenching your jaw so hard, you're going to cramp up your jaw.
Yeah.
I'm just because I don't want to laugh at him. Well, he was super nice, but I was like, I don't if I laugh at him, I don't know what he's going to do. He might not like that.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to hold in all laughter. This happened 20 times. And I think he didn't know who I was every time.
Yeah.
I think he was meeting a new person every time he came to shake my hand.
20 different people are walking in, working on the same
It
job.
was unreal.
Wow.
So that was one of the guys. There was another guy who was, he was talking to me about, he saw my air compressor because, you have to, I have a pneumatic nail driver to put in the door trim. It's like a brad nailer.
Yeah.
So I brought him one of those with my compressor. He sees that. He's like, "Oh, yeah, I was going to design one of those. I have one in mind, actually, that uses air and gas." I was like, "Oh, interesting. Tell me about it." I tried to record this, actually, because it was so good, but I listened back to the audio on my way back, and it was indiscernible because it was in my pocket.
Yeah.
But, he's like, "Yeah, so the engine, so you have to make this pump, right? And you mix together the air and the gas to create a light infusion device." And that way you can maximize the pressure in the cylinder, and that will launch the engine. And then after it starts, it'll be reborn, and you can recharge the thing again. This is what he was telling me for 10 minutes straight. Just absolute crazy like jargon. I don't know. Some of it seemed intelligent. I'm like, did you used to do stuff like this? But it just made zero sense.
Some fifth dimensional air compressor.
But it was so good. I just wanted him to keep telling me about his engine that he was designing.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, I'm going to make millions on this. I think I'm going to sell it. I think I should patent it right now. I'm like, what? Did you make this already? No, I made it just now talking to you. Yes. And then there was another guy there. This guy was clearly like the alpha.
Okay.
Like, he
is the Jack Nicholson and
yeah, dude, he was. He was. It was this big black guy, like 300 pounds, and he was just sitting in front of the TV, and he would just talk to me the whole time, just saying random stuff. He's like, you know what I mean, man? I was like, yeah, just like that constantly, and I have no idea what he's saying. I'm just like trying to talk back. I felt like by the end of it, I kind of learned his language, but it was really hard at first. But anyway, some of the stuff that I did gather from him is that this is going to sound really bad, but it's amazing. He said he was telling me about all these bands that he likes. He loves rock music, and he was pulling up his favorite band, the Motley Crue.
Good band.
Yeah, and he was showing me he showed me like a couple of their videos, and then he just showed me like some videos of the band just like walking around doing things, like interviews and stuff. And he like paused it, and he's like, see that guy on the right? That's me. I'm like, what? This is a 300-pound black man telling me that this white man in the Motley Crue is him. I'm like, oh, like you like their music? He's like, no, that's me. And then his friend, this is why I said he's the alpha, because the other guy on the couch then told me what he was saying, because he had believed his story. Obviously, it made sense to him. He told me, oh yeah, that's him. He used to be white, and now he's here, and he's black. And I'm like, oh, okay. He's like, yeah, you know how there's that part in the Bible that says at some point the darkness will overcome the light? That's about how white people will turn into black people.
That's awesome.
I was like, okay.
He's just the first one.
Yeah. And here's my theory on this. So when I walked in, he was listening to Michael Jackson. As we all know, Michael Jackson turned into a white man. Right. And so I think he just thinks there's a category where you can change your race, and that happens to people. And so it happened to him. He used to be in the Motley Crue, and now he's in South Chandler, sitting in front of a TV.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope we can still air this, but that was just amazing. I feel like I had to share all this.
That's too interesting, right? Not to hear, yeah.
This is why it was the greatest day ever. Like, I didn't make that much money. I ended up making, well, they haven't paid me yet. Hopefully they still pay me, but it's only like $40 an hour. But man, I would do that again in a heartbeat. It was so great. Good.
That's definitely.
And they were super nice guys. Like, I really liked spending time with them. I don't know. It was fun. But yeah, it was wild.
That's so funny. I guess that's another great part of our work, or kind of any service industry, is like you come into these new environments, you never know what you're going to see.
What's going to happen, dude. I did not expect that today.
It is so great.
It was a treat.
Wow.
Yeah, I met a member of the Motley Crue today.
That's crazy. How cool.
All right, we should move on to our next segment.
Okay.
So what do you have for us this week, Grant, in the efficiency content?
Yes. So I just did some research I just looked on YouTube and Google trying to find some new tools that I've never really seen. Some of them I've seen before. But yeah, a lot of them have like got me thinking, I might get this. Some of them aren't cheap though, and it's kind of hard to tell if it's really worth it.
Yeah.
I did want to bring up, like at the start of it, is that I did recently buy a new tool that I had doubts about, and I don't know why, because it's been awesome.
Yeah, what is it?
It saved me so much time. I'm so mad at myself for not getting it earlier. it was it's just like a little rubber like thing that helps you caulk corners.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I've always just used my fingers.
Same.
To
I always just assumed those wouldn't work very well.
I did too. I don't know why. I was taught to do it with my hands.
Yeah.
Like by a guy that I worked with, and it works great most of the time, but it takes a while to like get it to look right.
Mm-hmm.
And this thing, in one pass, it looks perfect. I'm astounded that I've never got this before.
It was probably what, $10?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was like $7. Yeah.
How much time do you think it's going to save you?
I mean, it already saved me like a half hour. I was doing, caulking like with silicone, because silicone's really hard to do with your fingers because it's so sticky. So I'm like, okay, I'll try this thing out, because I'd already been doing it for like 10, 15 minutes, and it was taking a while. I was making like barely any progress. So I got this thing out, and I knocked out like the remaining like 80% of the work in like 20 minutes.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, it was
me
probably
one of
longer
these.
than that, but it saved me like a ton of time. And
Yeah, why have you not tried this before? Or me.
I was just astounded at how well it worked. Yeah. So
You bought it on Amazon?
I just bought it at Home Depot. I just saw it, and I was like, I've seen these before.
Yeah, you have to show me the brand.
I should try it out.
So Grant's dog is trying to jump on top of him right now.
Yeah, sorry. So anyway, I just want to say that to start, because like some of these products,
You wouldn't even think of.
unless you try it, you just don't know how much time it can save you.
Yeah.
So anyway, I have a list of like 30, maybe more different things. Let's see. Oh, I did want to ask you if you had any recommendations for paint primer.
Oh, yeah. I was looking at the notes. You said you don't recommend Kills.
I don't. I use it. That's what I've been using for years. I still think it's a good product, but I bought their like 2-gallon container because it was cheaper than buying 2 1-gallon ones. So I just decided
I do the same.
Okay.
I saw this in your notes. I'm like, how has we not talked about this before? I had the same problem.
You did? Okay.
Yeah.
So I got the 2-gallon thing, and it's got this like crappy plastic lid that does not stay on very well. So anyway, I had it in the back of my truck, and it spilled all over just not all over everything, but like it got all over like my circular saw. It's completely covered my 4-foot level.
No.
It's got in some other tools. It just made a huge mess, and it just fell over in my truck. It was just so annoying. Like the lid didn't stay on at all. I did not go over like some crazy bump or anything.
Yeah.
It just fell over somehow, and it just spilled everywhere. So I'm not going to buy that ever again. It was so frustrating, and it was just surprising how bad it is.
Yeah,
So I was wondering
that
if you
happened to me.
had
It didn't spill over my car, but it was just sitting in the back of my car. I lift up the hatch and it fell out and just spilled all over the road.
Yeah, it won't stay
And I was
on.
like, oh my goodness.
I guess maybe I'll just buy the 1-gallon ones, but it was like 25% cheaper to buy that, so I bought that.
Yeah, the 2-gallon was super cheap.
Yeah.
But I guess you got to transfer it to a 1-gallon.
Yeah. Anyway, so I might make a brand change. I don't know, because that really was annoying.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Well, I already knew that, but for
Okay,
other
but
people to
you
know.
use Kills too?
I do. I think it works really well.
Okay. Yeah, I use it for drywall a lot. It sticks really well. Anyway, I wanted to get that out of the way. So the first one on my list was some electrical tools.
Okay.
So I don't know if you've seen these. I've seen like some videos of people working on like light switches and like receptacles, and they have like this whole box of tools to do every part of it. Like they got one tool that they attach to their drill to like spin all the wires together and get them like perfectly like twisted up.
Yeah.
And then they have another attachment for the drill to put on the wing nuts. And it looks like
For the drill?
Yeah. So it looks like it speed things up, but the guy pulled out like 10 different tools to do something I do with 2. So
Yeah. So maybe it doesn't save time.
I'm not sure it's worth it. But also, I'm not sure it's worth it because you got to put on a new attachment to your drill every 5 seconds.
True. Well, we should get an electrician on the show and see if he actually thinks
I'm
it's
curious
worth it.
if that's worth it.
Well, there's a lot of stuff like that where I'm like, if I was doing this every day, it would make sense. But since I'm a handyman and I'm doing different stuff every day, it's like it doesn't make sense.
That's the major thing when I looked into a lot of these. Like they would definitely speed things up if you're doing it constantly and you're spending a ton of time on one certain job. But for us, I feel like it's going to take us a while anyway, and it's not going to speed things up that much. There are some more general things that would definitely be helpful, though.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's that. Have you ever thought about like the Milwaukee sells like some really nice like tool like organizers and toolboxes that you can like roll around? I've thought about getting that because it looks way more convenient than what I have, which is just like 5-6 different bags that like tool bags that I fill up with stuff. It just might be easier to haul around. You know, I could just roll it around, you know, when I take it into a house.
And it's got different compartments, so you're not just
and it would make things a little more organized.
Through things to find what you want.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about doing that?
Not at all.
Okay.
But I haven't really considered products like that because I'm just like, I don't know, I have what I have. But you know what, like stuff you said with the caulking thing, it's like you don't even think about it.
Right.
It's just not on your radar.
I've gotten used to the system I have now, but like things like that could definitely help. I do know they're expensive though, so it's definitely, I would probably do it, but they're just not cheap. So I might do it in the future. So that was like a good one. That would definitely save time on, you know, finding tools and stuff and just going back and forth between your truck if you could just roll it all over. I do think
that's important because if you have an easy system for organizing your stuff, then you're going to, if it's easy, you're going to stick to it. If it's not easy, then it's just going to constantly be in chaos. Yeah. And then, like, this is what happens to me. Like, I tell myself every Friday I'm going to reorganize my car, and I never do it. And then next week rolls around, and I'm at a job, and my stuff is just a disaster.
Right. I've done that.
And it takes me so long to find what I want and then to pack it all back into my car. And I'm like, if I just had a little bit better system of keeping this all organized, and so I could just easily throw my chop saw or throw my circular saw right in like a compartment rather than just in this giant bin in the back of my car loose, then it's just not going to be a disaster every time I need it.
Yeah, I do think something as easy as it sounds, and it's like, oh, that's not really much, but like it could really save a lot of time, like over the course of the weeks that you're working on each job.
Well, I mean, any of these things we're talking about, we're talking like it's going to save you 10 minutes here, 20 minutes there. Like it's nothing huge, but that really adds up.
Right.
Especially if you're doing this for years and years.
Yeah, a lot of this stuff is like, small time saves. But I do honestly think that the best thing on this list was that caulking tool. Like it really saves time.
Yeah,
so you should look into that.
I'm gonna get one.
Yeah,
that's my homework. Oh, what did we do about our last homework when we had to get the Home Depot card? Did you ever get one?
Oh no, I went online and I tried to do it. I couldn't. Their website wasn't working legit when I was trying to sign up for the card. It wasn't functioning, so I haven't done it again.
Yeah, I haven't done my homework either. I really want to, and I've gone to Home Depot like 10 times since our last show.
I know.
When I said I was going to do it tomorrow, and I never did.
Yeah,
could have saved money.
The next one I had, it looks really cool. It's kind of hard to tell if it's worth it at all, but like a digital measuring tape. I've seen this one brand. It looks awesome, but I'm certain it's not cheap. Wait, I don't remember what the price was.
Didn't you give me one of those?
No, that is a laser measuring tape.
Oh.
Or not a tape, but a laser measure.
Well, what are you talking about then?
I'm talking about an actual measuring tape, like a normal one, but it has like a digital display and has like a laser attached to it.
Why would you need that?
Well, also, you know, like when you're cutting like a bunch of different things at once. Yeah. And like sometimes I'll just take a scrap piece of wood and write down all the numbers, which works fine.
I do that all the time.
But this one, you can like take the measure and then you press this button and it saves like 5 different measurements at once just by pressing a button rather than having to like spend the time and writing it out.
That's kind of cool.
You can just take the measurement, press the button, and then do that 5 more times. And then you got, 5 or I guess 6 measurements you can go take to your saw. So it would speed things up, slightly. And also had some other cool parts. Like it had a part where the end of it, or you can measure inside corners just by putting the butt end of it on the edge, and it will just give it to you automatically.
Oh yeah, that's pretty nice.
Yeah, because sometimes it's hard to get an exact inside corner with a normal tape. Yeah, so it just looked like a good product. I'm not sure what the price was. I'm sure it's a lot though.
Yeah.
So it might be something I'll get maybe in the future, but not right now. But it's something to look into. It was pretty cool. The next one was, and this would be cool, is a miter saw, like measuring wheel. So,
I think I've seen these.
Yeah. So like if you're cutting like, I don't know, 4 or 5 different things on, one like 2x6 or something, then you can just put it underneath this wheel on your miter saw and it'll just measure it as it rolls underneath it. So like you could, cut it and then roll it 2 feet and then you got a perfect 2-foot measurement without even having to bring your tape out or anything.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah. So, I mean, another thing that would save some time and seems like it would be really easy to work with.
Yeah, we're doing like big carpentry jobs. You're just making hundreds and hundreds of cuts. Like, that's going to save you a lot of time.
Like I've done like some shiplap or something. Like that would be nice to have for that when I'm making the same cut like over and over again. Mm-hmm. And it would just be way easier than having to whip the tape out every time. So that was cool. Laser level. I think I've talked about wanting to get one of those. No, I didn't get one. I didn't get one because they're expensive. So I haven't got one yet.
Oh, yeah. You would think you were looking
but
for
I'm
one on
certain
Facebook
that would
Marketplace.
save a lot of time. So that's definitely something to look into. Do you have a pocket hole jig?
What do you mean by pocket hole?
So it's like for like when you're screwing 2 pieces of wood together and you need like a 45-degree angle kind of drill spot.
Yeah, I don't. I have one on my like Amazon wish list.
Yes, I do too. I think, or I think I just have it on my list of tools I need to get.
One of us should pull the trigger on that.
Yeah,
I don't do as much carpentry, so it's probably you who would use it more.
Yeah, but I don't often need to make like a pocket hole like that.
Yeah,
but when I do, it does take a lot of time, and like I know that it would save a lot of time, and they're not expensive, so that's something I need to probably just get.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah. Oh, I was also interested. Do you have a tool belt?
I don't. Yeah, I feel like I just never. Well, again, I don't know if I need it.
Yeah.
Maybe if I had
have one,
it would be really handy.
I have one, and I just don't really use it that often.
Okay.
I'll pull it out if I'm doing something that's going to take a while, and I'm going to need the same tools for like the next couple hours, and then they're all just on hand, and I can put like some screws and nails and stuff. So it's helpful to have. It definitely saves time from having to go back and forth getting stuff. Yeah, I was just curious if you've ever thought of getting one of those because it definitely does save time.
Yeah, I haven't because I think it would sit in my car and I'd never use it. I was afraid of that. But maybe I can find someone that's cheap and then just try it and see how it goes.
I've also kind of wanted to like get a good like set like certain tools into the tool belt, and then I can just always have those tools like on my body. Just
true. You go to work, you just slap it on, and you have all the necessities.
Yeah, it's like that's what a lot of like carpenters do is they just have tool belts with all the things they use most of the day. But I just feel like a lot of the time I'm not using the same tools over and over again.
Yeah.
But I'm sure I could find the right like combination of tools where like it would be something that those are the ones I use all the time, and I could really make it work.
And again, I think this is like for people listening who like if you're going to go into just carpentry or just electrical or just plumbing, like I think that would be really helpful because you're needing the same tools every day. Like for me as a handyman, like today I needed tools because I was doing carpentry stuff. But then last week I was doing like drywall, and those are completely different tools. And then the week after that I'm doing plumbing stuff, so it's completely different tools. So it's like doesn't make as much sense. Yeah,
and you don't want all these tools like, on your tool belt. You rather just have them
in a couple bags.
Easy to grab. But yeah, I think it's something I might look into because I feel like with what I do, I just kind of get used to the way I do things. And like, I could change it up a little bit.
Yeah,
it might speed things up. I think
so
it's
used
super
to the way
good
to think about that. I don't think a lot of people do, especially like older guys in this business, I think it's just you've been doing it for so long.
Yeah,
you just do it
get
how
into
you
a
always have
routine.
done it,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't even realize that there's ways to make your life way more efficient. And yeah. So I think it's good to be thinking like that.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff I was just interested on if you use them or your thoughts on it. Was another one was like knee pads, or I saw these other things are like knee rollers. I've seen tile guys use that.
Oh,
They're like knee pads on wheels.
oh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah. Do you use knee pads very often? I try to pull them out just because.
I don't have any.
Okay. I've been using mine more often. I just feel like every once in a while I'll just sit. I think we've kind of talked about this before, but you say you kind of instead of putting your weight on your knees, you just kind of kneel, I guess, or squat.
Yeah.
But I often just put my weight on my knees, and it can be painful sometimes. So I'm trying to use it more often.
Yeah. That's probably good for your longevity.
Yeah, I've always heard that it's bad to do that. It's bad for your knees, which it is painful. So I'm sure there's something
Probably a
to
reason
it.
it hurts.
Yeah.
Causing permanent damage.
Yeah, so I'm trying to avoid that. These knee wheel things looks like a good way to do so.
I would just feel
or
like
something.
such a goof.
Yeah.
Like walking around a client's house with these big knee pads.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you feel like a clown?
Not really. I mean, even the ones that I have are kind of big and ridiculous, but
You just
I don't
don't
feel
care.
bad. I'm just I need these. So.
Yeah, I guess I don't care that much. Like
Yeah.
when I'm painting, I literally wrap a trash bag around my hair so I don't get paint in my
Really?
hair. So I guess I don't actually care what people think of me when I'm doing things.
Right. I couldn't find this product anywhere, but I saw this video a while ago of it was like a thing that you tied around your chest, and it was like a pole that stuck out from the middle of your chest that you could put your weight on. So that if you're doing baseboards or something, like caulking baseboards, you could have both hands free and have your weight all the way forward.
What the junk?
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It looked ridiculous. The guy looked like an idiot.
Yeah.
But it also looked like it really worked. He had two free hands, and he didn't have to get his legs tired. Because if you're doing baseboards, you're getting up and down all the time.
So he's working on baseboard like he's in the International Space Station.
Yeah, he's basically lying down. Yeah, and
It's
working
weightless.
like a weightless astronaut.
Oh, it's kind of cool. You'd look
But it looked-
again like an absolute clown.
Yes, you'd have to get past that, but it looked like it'd be really helpful.
Wow, where did you see this?
I saw it on some random YouTube video, and I could not find it again. Maybe no one bought
That's
it.
amazing.
And the product died off.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't find it anywhere online.
You could probably make your own.
But that looked kind of cool. Another thing. Did you know there's a specific drill bit for electrical receptacles and light switches? You know
No
how
idea.
Every time you screw in a receptacle, it the screw always strips. Have you had this problem?
Wait, what do you mean? Screw into a receptacle?
An outlet receptacle, it's got those two screws.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of the time when I'm installing those,
yes, they always strip.
It spins out and it strips.
Yep.
Just because I'm just using a regular Phillips head.
Yeah, yep, I know what you mean.
Because it looks like it's a Phillips head, but apparently there's a whole bit that fits perfectly into that kind of screw, which I don't know why.
Why would
it's
they
not
make
just,
that?
Well, I don't know why it's not just the same screw as everything else. But I was really kind of upset that I didn't know that, because
I bet
it is a constant
electricians
problem.
think we're so stupid.
I
for
know.
not knowing
I
this.
could just hear someone listening, just oh, what idiots! But I did not know this, and it's a constant problem where I'm
stripping those every day,
Yeah.
and then I got to get the flathead out.
Exactly. I did the same thing, and I'm oh, okay, that's why. So I'm gonna buy one of those.
That is
so
good
I can
to know.
stop running into that problem.
Wow,
Yeah.
really learning new things today.
Yeah, I know. Have you seen those caulk guns that
Or
are
mechanized, or I don't know.
no, they're small, so
Oh.
they fit inside of the tube, and they cut it as you press it.
Oh, what?
Yeah, so instead of having like a whole gun that's like, 14 inches long,
Yeah.
and then it like sticks out at the end, this one like just goes into the back of the tube, and then it cuts the tube to go forward. If that makes sense. It's kind of hard to visualize without seeing it.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But like it's not any longer than the actual tube is.
Okay.
Yeah, so it'd be like really nice to have when you're doing like behind a toilet or something.
Oh yeah.
Which is a constant problem when I do toilets or
never
doing
get around
baseboards
there.
behind toilets. It's like I've never been able to reach all the way to the back of it. But that's the only use I've really seen for it.
That's still kind of cool though.
But yeah.
Is it expensive?
But there is some other cases where it's like it's kind of tight. I've done some shelving where it's like it's too tight for like that big.
Yeah, I feel like it
gun,
actually does happen somewhat frequently.
Yeah, I don't think it was too expensive. It's probably under $20 or something. So that was something to look into.
Yeah,
I might get one of those. Yeah, I mean, I got a whole lot more. I don't know.
We could, let's save it for another episode. Cause
Okay.
I think
I'm
it's
sure we're
good
going
to be
kind of long
thinking
right
about
now.
this kind of stuff. Yeah, we're 46 minutes.
Yeah,
in.
we should wrap it up. All right. So you want to do another episode, do you think?
I think so.
Okay.
So we'll move on to the final question.
Yeah, let's just do that. Final question. I had a good answer for this, and I'll see if anything comes to mind for you.
Oh yeah, I like it.
Where did I put that? Okay. Yeah, I have something in mind. So any like jigs or custom kind of tools that you've created that were like at a genius level of like time saving and just like really cool.
I'm sure I've actually made a few.
Yeah.
Because,
well, even your car is like a pretty good example of that.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
Yeah, my car is small, but I make it work. I turned it into a truck, essentially.
Yeah.
It's just a tiny Pontiac. Yeah, that's true. The other thing I was thinking of is as you know, I do a lot of drywall. And at least in Arizona, like every house has textured walls. Like they're not flat, it's texture. And a lot of the textures, you need like this special thing that you hook up to a compressor that sprays the drywall onto the wall.
Yeah.
Called a hopper. And I have one of those, and it's like gravity fed. So the drywall just kind of drops into it, and then you spray it out.
Yep.
With the compressed air. But the trouble if you use one of these is if you're using it on a ceiling, is like you have to hold it up sideways, and then the drywall falls out the back if you're not careful, and then it doesn't actually go down it doesn't feed into the thing because it's gravity fed, and so
and it's like sideways when you're
you either have to like super fill the hopper, or you're just constantly like moving it back and forth to get
what I did when I did that is I would just like shake it a lot.
Yep, that's what I usually do. But I was like, maybe I could make an attachment so I don't have to do this. So I bought like a 90-degree plumbing pipe, and I cut out the inside so that it would fit around the hopper fitting. And so now if I'm doing a ceiling, I'll slap that on there, and now I can hold it up and shoot the ceiling with the texture, but it's also feeding in the proper direction.
Yeah, and the mud can flow just straight down.
Yep.
Genius.
So that works out pretty nice.
I had this problem, and I mentioned it to you, and I didn't know you had a solution to it. And then you're like, oh, I already did this. I've been doing this now.
Yeah.
You're like, you had just got it.
I just built it. Yeah. Like
and I was having the same problem, and he's like, I got a tool for that.
Didn't you borrow it?
I borrowed it, and it worked great.
Nice.
It was way better than me just shaking it, and it wouldn't quite work. So
yeah.
It's definitely a good solution. It's funny, after you had given me that, I was looking up if there's like even a better way to do that. And there wasn't, but someone had done the exact same thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was like, so I didn't know if you had thought of it, but you thought of it by yourself. Wow.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that hard to come up with, but yeah.
But I didn't really think about it. Yeah. That was a good one. So I was pretty proud of this.
Yeah, what is it?
So my toilet was just at my house. It was the gasket on like the overhead fill tank.
The big gasket?
Yeah, well, the one that, like, when you press the handle, it lifts up.
Yeah.
And then all the water goes down.
The flush valve.
Yeah, the flush valve, like, gasket. So anyway, that was constantly leaking. And I had, like, taken it apart and tried to clean this gasket off, try to make sure there wasn't any, like, gaps or anything that, like, water was leaking through.
Yeah.
I did this a couple times, and it still kept leaking. And I was thinking about just buying a new one because they do sell replacements for it. It was kind of hard to tell exactly what size it was, but I'm sure I could have found one that works. And then I had an idea. I had just done a bunch of painting with a paint sprayer in my garage.
Yeah.
And I had a buildup of paint on the floor that was about like an eighth of an inch thick, maybe 3/16 or something.
It's pretty thick.
Or like 1/16 or something. Yeah, so I had this paint, and I still had it in the garage when I was trying to fix this problem. So I went outside, and I just cut a circular gasket out of the paint.
A perfect paint gasket.
And paint is latex, which is just rubber and water. So
wow,
it works. So I just cut out this little gasket, and I sanded it down so it'd be nice and smooth, and I put it in my toilet. Has not leaked an ounce of water since.
Wow, I want to applaud. That's incredible.
Yeah, I was like so happy about it because I just made it out of junk. It was
literal garbage.
It was something I just hadn't thrown away yet.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, so I was happy with that one.
You got to be creative like that especially if you're gonna be a handyman.
Yeah,
I feel like because I've been thinking
that's one of my favorite parts of the job is when I think of something like ridiculous like that and it works. Yeah.
Yeah, it's satisfying.
Yeah.
And then you're like, man, I'm incredible.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, but it's also like you need to do that. Like there's so many situations where like there seems to be no solution, and then you just come up with something
you have
random.
To find a way sometimes.
You just have to think about every possible solution, and you come up with something weird.
And I don't like spending money, so I had to find a way.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, it probably would have cost me $3 to buy a new one at Home Depot, but
worth it.
I didn't have to.
Yeah, that's a pretty good story.
Yeah.
Well done on the custom paint gasket.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Well, I think that'll do it for today's episode. It was a long one.
It was, but a good one.
Yeah.
Thank you for all your hard work on this one.
Yeah.
We will see you all hopefully next week.
All right. Bye.
And you got me that way.